Let's get.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sketch Biz. My name is Lauren, and I am joined by the ever so talented Rob Lisle. Is that Rob Lisle? Or Spedsy? I mean, Spedsy's your official nickname.
Yeah,
welcome to Sketch Biz.
hey, thanks.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good to be in the biz.
Oh, yeah, it's really happening here. So, Rob, we've known each other for a while. We've done actually a few podcasts together. I know there was a few bits and pieces like a drink and draw that we used to do. So I've kind of branched off a little bit, and I'm going to try doing my own one. So, and apologies to anybody tuning in. I'm getting used to this. I like when I do podcasts on other people's podcasts, I'm very comfortable and happy. But when it's me that's in control, that's too much pressure.
Yeah, I get it.
Anyway, so yes, welcome. And Rob, do you want to maybe give a quick little rundown of who you are? And I mean, I know who you are.
Yeah.
I know what's up. So yeah, maybe just a brief rundown on your stuff and what you're working on.
Well, when the internet was first a thing, my dad said, "Don't you dare put your real name on there." So I just put myself on there as Spedsy, and then the internet kept being a thing. And so my pseudonym is Spedsy, but my real name is Rob Lisle. I've been drawing all my life, doing creative stuff all my life, writing, playing music, all that sort of stuff. And then sort of in the last 10 years, my kids were born, was a big part of being home more. I was working from home, and Alt-Tab is a beautiful thing. So, when you're distracted from your work, Alt-Tab over to the creative whatnots that you're working on.
That also goes for parenting too, chopping and changing between work and parenting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so just, and then COVID, of course, as well, being forced to stay at home. So I started really pushing my illustrating. And what happened was I inadvertently built a portfolio. So then when things popped up, I just had this body of work that I was kind of happy with, and put myself up for things and got some things, and things started happening that I could never have dreamt of. So comic books, worked on other people's comic books, got a gig at a corporate illustrating firm. So I've been doing that for the last 10 years, and it's been awesome.
Yeah, I feel like your art career is quite snowballed, probably in the past, year or two? And
yeah, maybe
that big grind that you did is just all of a sudden it's sort of just flourished into this. You've got all that you're dipping your fingers in all different ponds, and you really are. You're just doing amazing. It's great to see.
Yeah, well, see, to relate it back to kids again. So my kids are now 9 years old, and so that sort of period where me and my wife saved our money, and it was time to, we were both sort of on maternity leave sort of thing. It was time to get serious, and I didn't want to go back to working a 9 to 5, whatever. And
I feel that.
I had little inklings of things going on, and I was sort of I feel like if I really just give me one more year to push this, and I could make a real go of it. And I found little avenues to make money, which is, no easy feat. But yes, so far it's working, and it's one of those things like work begets work. It's like the more you work, that sort of, you find yourself going, that sounds awesome, but I can't start it until next month. And then you find yourself in a dead month where you've got nothing, and you're like, oh God, it's all over. And then something pops up and it's huge or whatever. It's
you really do need to pave your own way in terms of you got to make sure that you've got stuff still coming in. And if you don't have people requesting work or asking for freelance jobs, you kind of have to create a project or something.
Yeah.
I'm going to give myself work. Yes, you're not getting paid, but that's what sort of pays off in the long run. Whether you do a Kickstarter or, self-publishing type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where this, I do a book called Sluggish, and that's the sort
Great book, by the way, guys.
Oh, thank you.
Buy it.
Huge, huge compliment from you.
No, we'll delve into that. I do want to talk about Sluggish, but yeah, I think that's sort of like your big highlight book, in my opinion. At the
Yeah,
moment.
well, that's sort of like, so that's the create your own project thing. Like, fortunately or unfortunately, it's taken a real backseat to like paid stuff, or stuff with a bigger future or potential future or whatever.
Paying bills, how dare they?
Yeah,
Just
yeah. But the
gosh.
good thing is, then in those quiet moments, you can return to those welcoming arms of your own little slug in, well, you just get a little depressed slug. So having something to go back to that doesn't bring in millions of dollars, but it fills the creative tank a little bit. So
Yeah, I feel that's super important, is having that avenue to be able to fill your cup a little bit as an artist. I've fallen down that trap a couple of times where I just keep taking on either commissions or work that just I don't care much for. And yes, it brings in money, and that's super important, especially when we've got a family.
yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely I've put at the forefront probably in the last 6 months of doing my own thing, because otherwise I just will burn out more consistently than I normally do.
Yeah. Well, so I found myself, I got to draw yesterday for the first time in like 2 months, which sounds ridiculous, but just the nature of two projects that I signed on for. I always thought of myself as a writer first for a long time. And then, the building your own projects and whatever, or getting things, pitching things and getting them picked up. Then you have to write those things. And so just two things in a row where I needed to write first before I was able to draw anything. And so I've been writing a lot, and that has its own challenges and its own cup filling whatevers, but there's nothing like putting some music on and drawing. And,
Getting your hands dirty.
yeah, and so yesterday I had to do thumbnails, and I'm just like, heck yeah, oh, how I've missed you.
It's you got all that juju just like saved up in a bank, and it's just all flowing out quite naturally.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're I want to go back to Sluggish, because I feel that would not only sort of would, because I want to talk about how we're creating our own projects to make our own work, but that particular book does touch on some quite serious topics, all while still being Spedsy. You're very like vibrant, fun. Your work is super like casual, not casual, like Simpsons or Rick and Morty, like that kind of style.
Yeah.
It's a feast for the eyeballs, and you marry that quite well together, making it look fun, but also really touching on some quite, like I said, some serious topics. One of those obviously relating to parenthood, which I feel quite deeply, and I do touch on the fact that postpartum depression, and trying to rewire like your whole body and brain when it comes to looking after these little crotch goblins that just magically appear, and you're never prepared for it. And yeah, I think you did it quite beautifully, telling that story. And that book got nominated for the Ledger Awards.
Yeah, it
correct?
did. Yeah, the first you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, like I thought, if ever, the story of Sluggish is ridiculous. As in, like the fact that it exists. The nutshell version, because I've said it a few times and I dare not repeat myself, but is that, as I was saying, like I thought I was a writer and an illustrator, and they were two separate things. Because, as you say, like my style is Simpsons-y, Rick and Morty, but then I saw myself as a real literary, like I can marry words together and watch them sing, and so I didn't, though I never thought to put those two things together. I wrote The Devil's Toilet. It's very silly, and Vamoose as well as an extension of sort of the Devil's Toilet universe and whatever. But I was just inspired by like people that worked way faster than, like I'm a fairly fast creator. Like I don't burn through pens. There's not 1,000 lines in my panels, but even still, people would be so much faster than me. Or
it's crazy some people that you like just smash out pages that are just like masterpieces. Like, are you okay? What are you taking? And can I have some?
Absolutely. And then just zines as well, where I'm like, the I would spend 10 hours on a Devil's Toilet page, and some of these zines look like they spent 4.5 minutes, but it was so honest and real. And I was like, oh my goodness, I feel this. And I wanted to make something like that. I wanted to speed up my style. So Sluggish is the same 4 panels, like a storyboard, and the character is very simple. And my brother once told me, if written well enough, you can make people feel about stick figures. And I really took that to heart, and I spent a lot of time trying to make Disney characters that, look how unique this is. When really, like, this slug tells the story better than I think a well-crafted, beautiful, unique something would have done.
And it's the color palette too. I think you made a really smart choice there as well. So that sort of, not only is it calm, but it has this sort of like a bit of serenity, but also just this dullness it's mellow, like a mellow sadness almost. And I think that, like I said, that marries so well with the story and his character and, the internal struggles that he has. You've had some really good feedback from it too.
I have, yeah. Well, and the color thing, like, one of the feedback for Devil's Toilet was like, oh, it's so colorful, and I hated that. Like, I don't know why, but like that felt weird. I was just like, oh, I don't like that it's colorful. I don't want it to be colorful. I want the colors to look great and be an interesting palette choice. So yeah, Sluggish was very much like it's meant to be mundane, so the colors are mundane, and then when hope slowly encroaches, so does some reds and some blues. There's a cat in the book. I'm very much a dog guy, but I used to be scared of cats when I was younger, and when I say younger, till about 28. So it was until I got a dog that I understood cats. It was so strange, but the dog is like the cat is like a color that starts appearing in the book, and the couch is a color, like things that bring comfort. And so through like the feedback and stuff, suddenly I thought this book that I thought was just my attempt at a zine and whatever, I thought, oh, this might have
huge
some
potential,
just in terms of like so many D&Ms at conventions and stuff, like people who, like, because I wrote on the front cover like a little label that says depression, anxiety, and slugs or something, and so people, just because I was like putting on Front Street what this is, and that would just give people license to just tell me their life story, and you go from like, hey, look at this silly toilet book, to then like we're sharing anecdotes.
You're crying and hugging each other in fetal position on the floor, like
yeah, crazy.
That's a huge achievement, though, being able to give something out into the world that's going to create that connection. Like, people feel seen, heard, and that's probably the best part and the best win about writing. So I think you've got a huge win there.
Yeah, well, so the next issue that comes out is so issue 2 finished with the cliffhanger of Herb's girlfriend being pregnant, and then we reveal on so 3 and 4 are coming out. They're on Kickstarter right now.
Link below, guys.
So, yeah,
go back.
Link in the comments or whatever. Like and subscribe. But so the thin veil that is this autobiographical is Herb. It's spoilers, but on the first page or two we reveal that he has twins. I famously myself have twins, so it's very much taking things from my real life and putting them
best source of inspiration, in all honesty. So yeah, I'm excited to snag those ones. So do you want to see that go any further, or you kind of want to wrap it up in I know you mentioned that it was sort of a zine that you kind of wanted to do, but now that it has all this feedback and all these followers, and do you want more out of it?
So I want to wrap it with. So I think this will be a big conversation point for us when it comes to like money and publishing, that sort of stuff. So I want the story. I don't want it to get to issue 8 and then I'm too old or I run out of steam and the story never ends. So I'm finishing at issue 4, and I want to then get it published somewhere bigger than Psychojuggler. Get it collected and put somewhere. And I'm not shooting for, well, I mean, I will shoot for the stars, but I'm not expecting it to land at Dark Horse. But, you know, you never know your luck. There's no harm in trying. But to get it somewhere where it'll just get a fresh set of eyeballs that's not me, you know, on Instagram saying, please click the link. Yeah, just getting it in front of people. So,
and that's a like, as artists, we kind of have to be our own PR. And, you know, it's the part I hate the most about, and now that I'm working freelance from home all the time now, that's a huge part of it. And if we want to keep that money rolling in, then it's all about doing that PR stuff. And I've been seeing more often lately that people are starting to not reject, but just push back at the idea of needing it published by the big ones, like the big publishers, and, you know, like, and how much success can you actually get from doing it yourself, and, you know, advertising and grinding. And I know it's a lot of work, but a lot of people are getting the return out of that. That's something that you push with most of your books. I mean, you've got a huge list of stuff that you've done, whether you've written it, contributed, and collaborated with other people. You've kind of been quite at the forefront of pushing all of those, and it's exhausting.
Yeah. Well, so the big 2, like, obviously that was a dream I had when I was a kid. I draw a Wolverine and that sort of stuff. But it took me a while to like just realize that, find my lane sort of thing, that like I've always drawn the style that I, you know, varying slightly, but in that sort of like Dean Rankin, Nick May, Matt Groening sort of style. And, you know, I had to sort of go, look, you're not Jim Lee, and I don't think even with, you know, 10,000 hours or whatever it is, you would get there. So my hopes of drawing for Marvel or DC was never something that I ever seriously thought. I had dabbled with the idea of writing for them, but just the hoops and everything just seems, there's so much luck involved, and a lot of advice.
Who you know.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. A lot of advice. Like I watch and absorb podcasts and stuff all the time, and it's all like, you've got to go make your own stuff, and then they might come to you, or, you know, that sort of thing. And so that's what I thought I was doing. I was making my own stuff, and then I was like, oh no, this is actually what I want to do. Like, making your own stuff is the stuff.
There's more joy in that.
Yeah. People send me, like, Peter Lane was very nice to send me a Star Trek cover, which was very much in my style. And he was like, you could do these. And I was like, yeah, I could.
Yeah.
And I, you know, like, I've sent Sluggish out to some people, and that's the thing too. Like, first, rejection is like a thing. You've just got to, you're going to get 1,000 of them. You just got to let them boing off your armor, because they're coming, no matter how good you are.
I feel that, you know, that term, let them, that people say, I think that you could use that for a lot of the rejections. Let them, like, if they don't want you, let them. Like, let it, just roll with it back. Okay, not my fit. They don't want me. Now I don't want them. Still want them. But yeah, I think that's probably the easiest way to think about it. It's just like, don't get hung up on those rejections. Take it as like, okay, challenge accepted.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep pushing.
Yeah, well, I mean, a rejection for Sluggish turned into me drawing a cover for them, like 6 months later. That was my first ever diamond, you know, distributed cover on a comic book. Which, you know, so I could have been sad about. Well, that's the thing too. Like, be a nice person, be professional. So when you get that no, you don't write back, you son of a bitch, you don't even know what you know. Like, you just,
as much as you want to.
Yeah, like, it's not a good fit or whatever. I get it. Totally cool. If something pops up, you know, holler at
Leave the bridge, like, keep the door open. If it's not the door that you wanted, open the window, you know, as long as you make that connection. And, you know, and that's the other thing about if you're self-publishing and you've got something that you can give them, it's basically like a representation of yourself to show that, yes, I can actually do projects. And this is who I am. This is what I do. Give it to them. And that's like a complete package. Then you can kind of dabble in what bits and pieces they might want to see, whether it's for cover work or characters or, you know, stuff like that. It's a really good approach.
Yeah. There's a thing of like let them look and see that the train's rolling with or without them. And like you are making stuff, you are finishing things, and they're getting put out, whether it's you, whether it's, you know, like an indie publisher, whatever. Things are happening, and they can jump on board, or they, you know, we're still rolling with or without you. You know,
or even get on their radar. That's a win in itself. You know?
Absolutely.
Like getting a job is not always going to be the be all and end all. Like if you're showing them, they go like, this guy knows what he's doing. I'm going to keep an eye on him.
Yeah. And when pitching your own ideas, your own comics and whatever, a big thing that I sort of take on is that a no doesn't mean that it's shit. It just means that it doesn't fit with their release schedule, or they already have a similar medieval cartoon book, or they don't know how to sell that, or whatever. There's a myriad of reasons why they won't publish something before your work is a piece of shit. Like that's almost last on the list. Yeah. I'm also a big proponent of like having a few things in your belt ready to go, so that when opportunities arise, it's like bang, you get, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
And then you get,
and that's you to a T, I believe, because you not only being an artist but also a writer, and you're also a musician as well, and design. I think that is very, in terms of like how I like to learn and how I like to evolve my style or whatever. I love learning, and I love not limiting myself to one particular style. And I feel that resonates with a few people when you say, what's my style? Like, I want my style. I need a style. And it's just like, stop forcing it.
Yeah.
How about you just like enjoy learning? And then in that process, you've got this, like you said, a whole tool belt of all these different things that you can offer. And when you're given the chance and it's not a good fit, you're like, well, this, I can also offer this, and, you know, that kind of thing. And they all bounce off each other, whatever creative avenue that you learn or skill you take on. And we kind of do have to juggle, but it shouldn't be a pain in the ass, you know? Yeah.
One thing I've been itching to ask you, because I think about this all the time, and that's the style thing. I had this. This is a longer story that's not really relevant, but it's just, you know, publishing woes and whatever. But I had this horrible situation where I had done some concept characters and stuff for somebody. I had done some sample pages, but I couldn't sign on for the 200-page graphic novel because it just just the amount of work versus the money, it just wasn't going to work for just having to keep this house afloat. We live on a boat. And yeah, so I had to, I tried to come up with solutions, but ultimately I was like, sorry, I can't commit to the whole thing. And the person lost their agent because there's no illustrator attached. Anyway, it was horrible. But the point was that, like, I thought of a few people that could fill my shoes, and thought, oh, like, I wonder if I asked so-and-so. And a fun thing I do with like lots of my illustrator friends is I can sort of like put them in different, I can picture their style
categories,
and I put them in different baskets, you know, like, and that's not to say that their styles look the same, but they're just in a similar, like Dave Dyer, Lee Chalker, Ryan Vella, are sort of in this black and white sort of heavy ink basket. Gene Rankin, Nick May, Peter Wilson, myself are in this thick line cartoony basket. When I come to you, and also Nick Cleary, I don't know where to put you. I can't find a contemporary in your style. Where do you think? What is your style? Where do you think it comes from?
Oh, I used to be those kids that would just scream, "What's my style?" all the
Yeah.
time. And I see it. And I get asked it a lot at conventions. And usually, typically, it's from the younger crowds. And I get it. You're sort of starting that path of wanting to take it a bit more seriously, whether your illustration is going to be in comics or not. And the biggest thing that I tell them, and this is what worked for me, actually, before I go into that, I was like adamantly like Joe Mad, John Somariva, that sort of like real graffiti-esque sort of style. That's where I naturally loved to go. And I just was forcing it too much and just like copying their work and looking at it and just, I was like, why does it not look that way? And then I tell people at shows, I'm like, it's a personality. You can't copy someone's personality. It's not going to feel natural. It's not going to feel you. And it's not going to be enjoyable. And so I tell them, learn the skills, keep drawing and do it for the fun. And it's naturally going to develop into whatever style it's going to be. And because you're enjoying it so much, it will develop tremendously fast. Like my confidence, and as soon as, and this was only recently, like maybe 2 years ago, probably when Luna was born, and I had to, she's turning 3 next month. So that first like 6 months, it was just a mess.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who I was as an artist. I didn't know who I was as a bloody human being anymore. Excuse you, Hagrid, my dog shaking his head. And so I kind of got to this point. I'm like, who am I? I didn't know what I was anymore at all. And then so I just decided I'm just gonna learn. I'm gonna step back, and I'm just gonna keep dabbling in all the different avenues. And then it sort of went that way. And even now, I'm still not sure if I've settled completely into my style. I still love trying different things. Like I really want to get more confident in spotting black, because heaven forbid I do any giant chunks of black. It just freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah.
But I know that's so important when you're doing inking, especially if you want a professional job. But then I'm saying, like, is that me forcing myself still, And yeah, I don't know where I fit. I don't think I'm floating anymore. I think I'm settling. I feel more like myself now, and I feel like it's my personality in my artwork. But then again, I do have, I have this hand disease called Dupuytren's contracture. So basically on the fascia, it grows like this really thickening on the tendons. So I might end up with like little claw hands. Some days it gets a little bit tight, so my work does reflect that sometimes. It's all preventative stuff. So whether that plays a part into it, I don't know. But in all honesty, it's just that's what I tell people. It's a personality. You just got to let it flow naturally.
Yeah. To pee in your pocket for a few more minutes. I don't think I know anybody who can do traditionally and digitally to such a high standard. Like when there's one grown man in this world who I barely know, but I want to kiss him on the lips. My computer died and I went in to buy a new one, and he asked me, what do I use it for? And I said, amongst other things, I said I'm an illustrator, and I use this junky $100 graphics tablet that I draw down here and I look up here. And he was like, oh, have you tried drawing on an iPad? And I was like, oh, that's that's the fancy people do that. Like,
that's so wanky.
and so I've been drawing, like, when people say, oh, how was the transition from traditional to digital? And I'm like, it was a dream. But I think I'm a rare case where, like, during school holidays, my dad worked corporate in the city, and he would take me to work and he'd put me in the boardroom and say, there's the whiteboard, there's all the markers, go nuts. And I would fill the whole thing. Like, I loved drawing on whiteboards. I worked at a place where we wrapped all these jobs in plastic. I'd take the plastic and I'd draw. I loved the feeling of a texture going across that smooth surface. So, when lots of people lament, like, oh, where's that paper feel? I love the paper feel, but I'm like, all day I could slide.
Yeah.
So my art overnight just Well, when I first went to the graphics tablet, that was a transition, but from that to the iPad, Procreate, all that sort of stuff, my just the quality of, so like my anatomy didn't get any better, my like facial expressions didn't get any better, but the quality of my lines and the professional output, especially for like a corporate gig or whatever, being able to use my stuff on a poster for a work safe injury or something. Suddenly I was doing stuff that looked a bit more professional. Cut to, sometimes you post some of your pictures and I almost can't tell if you've done it traditionally or digitally, and then like you'll post a video about laying down that halftone stuff and
Oh yeah, yeah.
and then splatting ink on it, and I'm like, holy shit, like you have that, you're scared of some blacks and whatnot, but like you have that fearlessness of just like, here's a work of art, it's almost done, but I'm going to splat something on it. And like I'm scared if like I draw an eyeball with a fine liner, I'm scared to draw the second eyeball because the first one was perfect. It's like, let alone splatting shit on it.
It's my metaphorical balls. You just got to have that gumption to just do it. I had this same conversation with Alex Tripp, and he always says a very similar thing. He's just like, I could never, like I'd be too scared to be able to do it. And I said, what's the worst that would happen? Like, yes, I am scared of doing blacks, but what's the worst that would happen if I throw some ink on it and it doesn't work out? Like, be pretty annoyed that it didn't kind of go the way I wanted. First page of my graphic novel comic that I did, and I did the masking, but then I went way too hard on doing the screen tone stamping, and I was just like, well, that's a mess. And that was really annoying because it was all coral and fish and bubbles and like waves. Yeah, but it's just like, I wasn't too mad. I was like, okay, well, now I know that doesn't work. So, and in going back to doing the digital side of things, like I was a really stubborn little artist back when I was younger, and I was like, I will never ever do digital ever. Like, it's not real art. And then I realized deadlines exist, and I don't always have the time to do everything traditionally, but having that skill set very transferable over to using a tablet. And I didn't really use the lap tablets, the little Wacom ones. I went straight into like using a Cintiq. I made sure that was the best way, because otherwise it would feel too left field for me. I would still need to actually have my hand on it like I'm on paper. And I think some people rely too heavily on the stabilization features and all the fancy pens and brushes that you get. I still just use the G Pen mostly in most of my digital stuff. Like I have a couple of brushes and stuff for doing a couple of textures or bubbles or whatever if I've got a quick deadline that I need to do. But really, it's all just, I try and keep it just as I would normally draw.
I mean, you know better than anybody with like your work with that, doing that graphic design and beer can stuff and whatever. You could do it all traditional, but then when they say, actually, could you make those horns a bit bigger or whatever, you're just like,
I'm going to redraw that whole thing.
Get the white out or whatever, or like you end up scanning it in and then digitally adding horns and it becomes a mess. And like the amount, like I do lots of corporate work. That's the main sort of income for my illustration. And sometimes it's like the non-artist. So fortunately, I have a producer who deals with the client. So I get the dumbed down for the artist version. But sometimes like
work, monkey, work.
It'll seem like the client thinks that like I've drawn a Barbie doll and then layered clothes on, because it'll be like I literally had one where I drawn all these storyboards. It's live sketching, so you have a camera that watches my hand draw and it appears, and there's a voiceover and like, have you found yourself something, and I'm drawing whatever the narrator is saying. But that starts as a digital storyboard before I have to draw it traditionally. It's horrifying being filmed drawing traditionally. But anyway, that's another thing. Yeah, but that like so I'll draw these office people, and then because that's what the brief said, and then they'll show it to so and so a boss, and they'll be like, "Oh, sorry, we've just had a mandate come down that everyone needs to be in high vis. So can you put a high vis vest on everybody?" And so I'm like, "All right," but that's like
Sure.
that's not draw a high vis vest and then just click it on their clothes. It's like
Yeah.
I have to erase the shirt and draw a high vis, and I literally put high vises on everybody as per the brief, the rebrief, and
Uh-huh.
then actually now just everybody's in orange and yellow. Can we have some office work? And it's just like,
Janet on level 5 wants her input on these fucking.
yeah, that's a thing.
God, that's the
That's a
worst
thing
part
too.
about that shit.
But yeah, so yeah, digital has its pros, but then I think
Advantages.
some people think that it's super. Just click a button and bing bang boom.
Nah.
Yeah,
It's definitely has its like quick fixes for a lot of things. And yeah, you're doing your revisions and stuff. That's why I do all my concept stuff. I will always do my concept stuff digitally. I'll do my like rough layouts and sometimes even pencils, depending on what the deadline's like in digital. You just need to, like, I can't keep waste paper wastage. Like the paper that I use, I have to get from I ship it in from America because they just don't sell it here.
yeah.
And if they do it, they hike up the price 3 times. It's just dumb, and I can't keep spending that much and throwing out all this paper. Yeah, so it's a fine line in terms of like how you juggle it. You just need to be smart about what you use for when.
Yeah. My creative soulmate, Ben Sullivan, we just did this book together, Free Monkeys, and it's our first sort of like full kids graphic novel thing.
Oh, that's amazing.
But it comes out September 1st in bookshops everywhere. But
because that one's who's that published by?
Redback Publishing.
Yeah, cool.
And no, but yeah, so to save, like, that's obviously there's 260 pages of sequential art there. And yeah, Ben uses that Bristol board stuff, and it's expensive. And so then when
he's quite a traditional artist as well, isn't he?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, his stuff's incredible.
And then when it comes time to, someone might buy a page off him or something, you're actually getting 2 pages because he draws on the back. Like, so he uses both sides. Much to the chagrin of Reverie's Gary Della, because Gary will like try and sell a lot of his pages.
Yeah.
But someone might want page A and one wants page
sorry.
B, and they're both on the
2
same.
for 1 only. Sorry.
But it's just like when you're outputting that much stuff, it's like that's
saving
a
money.
lot of money.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've ever heard someone do that. I'm trying to think logistically how, like, does he just draw straight onto it? He must be a beast then. Like, just penciling?
Yes, I think he is a beast. He pencils straight onto it and then inks straight onto it. So this book is somewhat unique, where I had to really push him to lessen the backgrounds. He's huge on backgrounds. And I said, this is a kid's book, and we have like 6 months, and there's a lot. So, let's keep the backgrounds minimal. And so he did them all as separate illustrations, and then I put them together in a layout and boxed them and lettered them and all that stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, we did that a little bit, traditionally, but not traditionally, in terms of like, we're starting number 2 now, and we're both a little swamped. And so I gave him the first 6 chapters of the script. I'm like, I don't have time to finish it right now. So
yeah,
it's not the best way to. We've plotted it out. We're not going, everything's could land where we intend. But yeah, it's just like he needed to start drawing. I couldn't write 250 pages now, so I was like, I'll get just enough to get you going. And yeah, the joys.
Yeah, I will be starting Maurice and the Metal issue 5 next month, I think we decided on. But yeah, Aaron's pretty good at delivering a full package, but like I wouldn't be mad if they sort of just gave me, I don't know, 10 pages out of the 40 or whatever. You just got to work how you can work, and when you're juggling so much, because same as you and I, primary parent, they always come first, right? Like you got like if they get sick, too bad. Like, you're going to be staying at home with this sick kid while they're vomiting all through your hair. And then, then your art comes second. And I find like Aaron's really understanding in terms of that. And when he reached out to me to work on issue 4, he was looking for a new artist, and I just was open with him. I'm like, she will always come first. I can't say, unless you've got a hard deadline and we sort of schedule that out, then it's, you're just going to have to roll with the punches with me on this one, because it's a decision that I made.
Yeah.
I'm sure you understand that.
Yeah, well, I kind of have a thing where I like, anytime my son says, Dad, can we kick a footy? My answer has to be yes, unless I have something really desperate. And so, yeah, like it used to be years ago before kids that like, I needed dead quiet in the house if I was going to write, and I needed my, I need
my zen
warm up, and I need to be in the place, and then please don't interrupt me, and I'm creating magic. And then it just became, no, you just got to, they're playing PlayStation. All right, you've got 20 minutes. Like, just got to fit it where you can fit it. And there's you're just going to have to switch it on, jump into the universe, and then jump out and jump back in. It's just because otherwise it's just not going to happen.
It doesn't happen. And that is the only way that happens. But I don't know, do you feel the same, like this it's like a kind of a burnout, I guess, like me having to chop and change, like 1 minute I'm mum, 1 minute I'm me, 1 minute I'm an artist, 1 minute I'm PR, 1 minute I'm a wife, and just like having to chop and change constantly all day, every day. It's it can be quite debilitating sometimes. Is that something that you sort of experience as well?
Yeah, and strangely, I experienced like a real world version of this. Nick Cleary, our detective budgie friend, has gone up and down the east coast of Australia. And so he passed through here on his way up, and then he passed through on his way back. And so Nick, May, and myself went out to dinner with him, but he stayed at my house for a little bit, so he knows my kids. My kids call him Nick, and so my kids came to dinner, and so it was quick Nick, May on one side, myself and my kids on the other, and my kids are now, they're so comfortable with them that they call Nick May Dick May, because it makes them laugh. And but so they're boisterous kids, right? Like they're very well behaved, they're amazing, but they're 9-year-olds, and and at the same time, conversations are happening on the other side of the table about like, this adventure and what it means psychologically to be an artist and traveling. And so I want to be in that conversation, but I'm also trying to. So anyway, my wife came to pick up the kids so that the three of us could have some time, grown up, whatever. And in the walk back to the car, it was just me and the kids. And I was like, dad mode. And then when I was in dad mode, like I thought I was trying to get rid of the two kids to be in Spedsy mode or whatever.
Yeah.
And as soon as I was in dad mode, I wanted to get rid of the two Nicks and stay in dad mode, because like, I'm putting them in the car and they're like, where are you going? And I was like, I'm going to keep talking with the boys. And I'm walking back and I'm like, oh, this is like I don't know what I want. I don't know who I am. Am I Spedsy or am I dad? Like, are they two different people? And that was a most perplexing moment.
You start hearing the sizzling in your brain because it's not sure what it's doing, and it starts frying itself because you're just burning out. Just by the end of the day, like sitting on the couch, and my husband, bless him, he like, you look tired. I'm like, I'm worn out.
Yeah.
Like, especially after, like, I think we're getting to the end of Maurice in the Metal issue 4, and that was the first project I took on, like a proper project since becoming a mum. And I was just like staring into the abyss, just like, I'm gonna need something if I'm gonna do this again. But yeah, it can get quite intense sometimes, and I'm in a good place now because everything's quite slow and steady, and I'm doing my own thing. But until they're a bit older, it's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, and I hate to be that guy, but I don't know that it gets easier.
Sweet.
It just changes.
You're meant to be my beacon of hope.
Yeah, because so I'm sure just like you, I work in increments of like I work from 9:30 till 3, and then my work, like then I bring the kids home, and my work from like 4 till 8 or something
Whatever.
is spotty. Like they might have their total own plans, or they want me the entire time. But then bedtime's at 7:30, read for half an hour, and then go to sleep at 8. Every night that gets pushed further back just by like things pop up, and so my work, them being asleep, and I work at night. That time gets smaller because I'd like to watch a show with my wife and get to see her and stuff as well.
Yeah.
And so like I'm pretty easy-go-lucky, but I start getting tired and grumpy when I start staring down the barrel of like, oh, I'm not going to get 2 hours of work tonight, but I planned on that. Now I'm going to be behind, and so I start getting a little bit like, get to bed, sort of thing.
Go to sleep. And I get told quite often, God, that's so good that you get to just stay home, and that's lovely. Not many people get to stay home with their kid and work from home and blah blah blah. I'm like, but it's a constant juggle and it never stops.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's so good, and she's going to benefit out of it. Until my head hits that pillow, and even God, then I can't even get to sleep. It's just burning, just both ends, and you burn this candle and you burn.
Right.
Not that way. Get your head out of the gutter.
But it lives, so I can't help it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, Devil's Toilet makes sense. So I think I'm finally at a point where I can accept it. I used to get really angry about it and just be like, I can't. I'm not allowed to give myself anything. I'm not like, no one's allowing me to do that. But in hindsight, it was me not allowing that because I just had to let go of those expectations. And therefore I had to tell people what those expectations are and what I'm able to give.
That's exactly right too. Like there's a thing like, where they say, oh, next week things will slow down a little bit. Oh, next week things will slow down a bit. And at a certain point you go, oh no, life is happening right now. There is no slowdown. And when it comes to taking on months worth of work, you have to know your worth. And it's a struggle. Like, I don't have the biggest credits in the world. So other artists might go, how do you justify charging this much or whatever? And I'm like, because I'm not able to do it otherwise. Like, and so that's just it. So I think I bring value to a product, to a project. If you get me to draw a thing, I fancy myself a bit of a writer. You get, I'm throwing ideas at you. I'm helping you edit the script, all that sort of stuff, because I can't help myself. But I don't so much mean know your worth as what you bring to a project, but just that, like, your time and energy. And I can't sign on for an 8-month project for $2,000 because
it's ridiculous.
That's not even enough to buy a cheeseburger, and my kids
throw it back at them and say, would you be able to survive off that? If this is going to take up majority of the time that you do have available for this job, like, would you be able to survive on it? My dad has this really good analogy that he uses, and he has done very well for himself, and he mentors, and he charges for his time, and yes, he does charge a lot, but the way he says it, he's like, I'm not charging for my time. I'm not like an hourly rate. I'm charging you for me. I'm charging you for me, for what I offer, and that is what my value. That's how I see my value. And so I think that's what people need to maybe think about. Not so much that's only like a hourly rate of blah blah blah, but like, what are you offering, and is it worth that? And do you need to charge more for what you're offering? Because like you and I, we both have background in design, and like I used to do the screen printing with short batch, and I learned so much through them that like it was all transferable skills. And yes, I can offer that. If you're going to start a project, you take me on. Let's talk merch. Let's, think about like doing some designs, doing some logos, websites, blah, blah, blah. This is what I have to offer. And it's not just like if you're paying me for 40 pages of sequential work, it also comes with this other stuff. So when I'm giving you that rate, it includes that because I can advise on a lot of that gear and point you in the right direction, But I think people just need to have the confidence to be able to vouch for themselves when it comes to people questioning their rate.
Yeah, well, so like I've talked to people about page rates where, people have asked me, how do you come up with your page rate and all that sort of stuff? And I sort of go, like, particularly if you're an iPad person where the thing literally tells you how long your pen was on the page, literally.
Wow.
But then I would argue, well, that doesn't take into account the thinking, and just the stretching your hand in between things. But the point is, it takes you 5 hours to do a page, let's say, and then go, all right, well, what's minimum wage at the moment? It's $22 or whatever. So at the very least, you should be getting this much. Now think like a plumber who had studied to, they're charging this much an hour. Now, like it or not, you might not have a wall covered in certificates, but many of us have been in the trenches a long time, learning this stuff to get to this point where it only takes us 5 hours to do this, as opposed to whatever. And so, you and then also like the corporate jobs that I do, the money that they, like the budget that they have for things, and an indie creator is not a corporate giant, whatever. But there's a medium. I'm not giving it an exact formula about how to come up with your page rate, but
it's what to consider.
Factor in your time and that
because there's probably going to be one artist that does a page in an hour. There are some psychos that do that, and then there's people that take 6 hours. And 6 hours doesn't mean more value. It could still be rubbish.
Yeah.
And then this person who did it in an hour, it's just because they can do it in an hour.
Yeah.
And it looks fantastic. Like that's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
Stop thinking about an hourly rate. It's not that kind of job.
Yeah. Well, also too, like I know an artist, I dare not say his name. Like I think this is a compliment or a helpful piece of information, but I dare not say it just in case. But he has like his $300 a page version, and he has his $100 a page version, and they're both good, but one's substantially better because he had enough time to sit with it and perfect that pose and make the line work perfect. And then he has, this is a budget book, and so here's still looks great, but it's not his best.
Yeah, it's not the creme.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's I know that is a lot of feedback that I hear about some of the bigger companies. I do know an artist here or two there about the deadlines that they've had to work with the big two, and they can tell their work. They like sometimes they do a couple of good pages, but like trying to smash out the amount of work that they are asking, and like full finished, inked, finalized work with revisions. Impossible. Like I would never take that on. And I think a lot of people do it at the sacrifice of saying, yes, I've worked for this. And it will come with the bonus of like, yes, I worked for Marvel. Yes, I worked for DC, Image, whatever. But like, would you be proud of that work? I feel that would probably grind my gears a little bit too much if I look back on it and I'm like, I could have done better. I really could have done better. It's out of their control.
I'm a big I flip flop with my theories and whatever, but it's just like it also what you're doing has to be fun because once it's done, it's just a thing that you did, and you got to like slaving away at something that it's either got to be fun or it's got to pay for you to have fun.
Be fun or done.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like a famous writing thing of like I don't like writing. I like to have written, which almost has nothing to do with what I'm saying. But it always just tickles my fancy when I'm struggling to, like, I love jamming on an idea, coming up with, like, plotting it out. And then sometimes when you're knee deep in the actual writing of it, you're just like, oh, piss off. I just want to start drawing.
Yeah. But that's similar to Jake Parker's thing. It's better finished, not perfect. I think that's roughly what he says. Like, that's similar sentiment. And I am the same. Yes, there's going to be a few, like, I will admit, in Maurice, I mean, that took me like, I think it was like 7 or 8 months to be able to do. And you can actually tell from page 1 to page 40 significantly better, because I made sure that I put work into learning through the process, but I also had to take over from another artist. So it gradually morphed into what I would potentially call my Maurice. So it's kind of cool to see, but looking at those first like 10 to 15 pages, I'm like, I could have done better here. I should have taken my time, and you could tell I was frustrated, finding my feet again. And, it's finished. I did it. Like I said, first project since coming back into the workforce. So it's better done than not done at all. And goes for a lot of things.
Yeah, I was jealous when I saw that book pop up, because I never thought that, like, my friends who survive on being paid to illustrate, I could pay them to illustrate. Like, I was just like, oh, wait, you can just, like, pay Lauren to draw your comic book? It's like, why did I never think of this? It's like, yeah. So brace yourself.
Money will do a lot of things, friend.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so we're hitting like an hour mark.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty good.
Yeah, we did it.
What do you think?
Yeah.
We did it.
Thank
good. You. You held my hand through this chaotic thing. I'm finally doing it after people telling me I need to, pull my finger out of my ass. So, yeah, it's going to be good. I've got a really good guest I'm going to be interviewing tomorrow, which I won't reveal here, but I'll tell you once we sign off. But it's going to be exciting.
Big shoes to fill, though. Like after the.
Yeah, no one beats you. I'm sorry. But yeah, thank you. And anybody, if you want to find Spedsy's work, where can we go? You want to give a little spiel? Spedsy.com
or psychojanitor.com, or Spedsy on all the Instagrams and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Throw us a like.
Yeah, throw us a like, mate. A huge amount of work that you've done, and I think everybody should check it out. And definitely jump onto that Kickstarter, which will, like I said, there's going to be a link down below. Back it. It's definitely a great read. I'm excited to see where it goes with these last 2 issues, wrapping up the story. So yeah. Anyway, thank you everybody. And we'll catch up soon. Everyone stay sharp, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.